So the last time we interviewed, I asked you about growing up in Davenport, Iowa, but this time I want to see if you can remember about the births of each of your children, starting with Kathy.
Honey, that's something you never forget.
But this is over 50 years ago. How old is that woman?
Oh my, is she getting up there too?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I guess she must be in her 50s.
Mm-hmm.
I guess.
Steve is in his 50s.
Yeah. Well, let's see. Kathy and then Deb, 2 years apart, and Steve.
Yep.
Trying to think, Steve's going to be, what, 50? He was trying to think. See, Sandy was born in 58, Steve was born in 57, Kathy was born in 52. So.
Oh, that's a stretch right there. So,
yeah.
And Kathy and Debbie are how far apart?
2 years. So, I think Debbie was born in 55. Kathy was born in September of 52.
September was a big date for you.
Yeah, your dad's birthday and then Kathy's birthday was the day after. She was born, his was the 2nd, hers was the 3rd.
You're the 16th.
Yeah.
Weren't you married in September?
Yeah, we were the 21st, and then our taxes were also due in September. Property taxes in Iowa, in Davenport, property taxes. And then your dad died in September. That was not a good month.
Wow.
It was started out to be a good month. It didn't end up being good. So.
Was everybody born at the same hospital?
No, Debbie was born at St. Luke's. The rest were all born at Mercy. I liked Mercy Hospital much better. And I had a different doctor when Debbie was born, because the doctor that delivered Kathy died. That was your dad's family doctor. And he was real nice, Dr. Garside. And then
What was his name?
Dr. Garside. He was real nice. He was a family doctor for the Mahomes.
This is all in Davenport? Both
Uh-huh.
hospitals?
And he went to Mercy Hospital. And then...
Why did Davenport have 2 hospitals? Were they religious, or...?
Well, Mercy Hospital was a Catholic hospital, and Dr. Garside was Catholic, and the Mahomes were Catholic. And then I went to when I was pregnant with Deb, I went to the doctor, I forget, Matthei. He had been the school doctor when I had been in school, and he had a private practice. So
Really?
that was, yeah, so I went to him when I had Debbie.
So he was like volunteer at the school? They don't get paid?
I guess at that time, I don't remember.
And today they're paid on
But
stuff.
he did his practice at St. Luke's, so I had to go to St. Luke's, and I didn't care for St. Luke's. Then when I got pregnant with Steve, I switched to Dr. Foley, who was the obstetrician, the specialist, because I was going to, his father, who was Dr. Foley Sr., who had been our family doctor, my mother's and mine. And their office was, originally it was downtown, but then they moved, and their office was right across the street from Mercy Hospital. It was convenient. But,
So who was the quickest baby to deliver?
Sandy, I think. Actually, Kathy was about 3 hours. For the first one, she was only about 3 hours, but then Sandy, they took her. The doctor sent me to the hospital and had to started her, but she was born right away.
That's the Sandy I know.
Yeah, she was quick. She was 2 weeks late, but she was, when she got around to it, she was fast. Didn't take long. Nancy took the longest. Each one took longer, and should be just the opposite.
Yeah, that's not right.
Yeah, I don't know. Each one took longer. It was different. And in fact, with Nancy, I woke up. I had labor pains at home like 4 o'clock in the morning, and I had the diarrhea. My water broke. I was lucky I was on the pot when it broke. They always had to break my water at the hospital, always. And with Nancy, it broke at home. I was sitting on the pot. By the time I got to the hospital, I think they put me in a wheelchair and then got in bed. And of course, whenever you go in to have a baby, they always gave you an enema because they wanted to get you cleaned out good, and you'd have to get up and go to the pot. With Nancy, I didn't have to go through that. It was funny. And then, it was so funny, the doctor came in, and I was still having pains when your dad took me to the hospital. It was like 5 or 6 in the morning. and the doctor came in, and about the time they got me settled in bed, the pain stopped. He came in, he took one look at me, and he says, "My God, you haven't even dropped." And by then, I was late with Nancy too, 2 weeks. So he reached in there, and he pulled her, he turned her, because she was coming down feet first. He had to turn her, and he pulled her down, and then he put me on the stuff that starts your pains for you. And every time that they would take that away from me, the pains would stop. It took me all day. I didn't have her until like 5 or 6 o'clock that night, and I was there at 5 in the morning. It was,
I gotta tell you, being the closest to Nancy in age, I would say she's been difficult ever since.
yeah, because then when she was a baby, you had to be very careful how you held her, because she would spit up. She was they had a name for it. She would spit up clear across the room.
Yeah, Brittany used to do that. We called that projectile vomiting.
Yeah, it was, and you couldn't pick her up and hold her. I mean, you're holding her when you're feeding her, but you really could not do anything with her.
It took us a while to realize Brittany was lactose intolerant.
I don't know what it was. No, Nancy had problems. Yeah, I thought it was so funny because I really had real labor pains with her, but then you stopped, and then they would put that stuff in me, and that got them started, and every time they'd stop it, my pains would stop. It took forever to have her.
So Sandy was the easiest, sort of.
Yeah.
And Nancy was the
probably
most
the worst.
difficult.
The hardest, yeah. Took the longest. It took all day for you to. They started, let's see, Diane, he had to start, that took all day. He had to start me with you, took all day, and with Nancy. The last 3 were they had to be started. And you were all late. All my kids were late, 2 weeks late.
What'd the man do back then? Was Dad ever in the delivery room?
Oh, no, no, they weren't allowed in the delivery room back then. No, never. Well, your dad wasn't here when Kathy was born. He was over in Germany.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
When did he first see her?
She was about 3 months old when he came home on leave. Trying to think. I don't think he was there for Christmas. She was born in September. I don't think he got to come home at Christmas time, but he did get to come home. She was about 3 months old. He got to come home for about a week or 2 weeks.
How'd you tell him? Did you call him?
No. Notified the Red Cross. In fact, the Red Cross had an office on the same floor where Grandma's beauty shop was, and she went in and told them because they were to notify him. In the meantime, I wrote him a letter, and he got my letter before he heard from the Red Cross. The Red Cross was not very good at notifying him. It was about 2 weeks before he found out. I mean, he knew I was pregnant, but he didn't know anything about it right away. It took about 2 weeks before he found out that it was a girl.
This is before Facebook.
Yeah.